all right?
Three mics, so I have to speak up.
I might need a break. I don't have the guns.
For purpose of Commander Eric Decker.
I think
Commander
you just your
I
head.
tell you, why don't we do this for me so everybody knows who's who?
Commander Eric Decker, Major Friend.
Commander Sania Russell, 9th Precinct.
Captain Gary Johnson, 9th Precinct.
So just, I'm going to take my mask off so everybody get here. So this is what we have going on today. As you know, we had a very tragic shooting situation on Sunday where 4 teens were shot. Let me first start just commending the work of the 9th Precinct, who, after this happened, went for the fire. So let me start by commending the 9th Precinct in response to that tragic shooting of 4 teens on Sunday. Was it the 14th? Let me get that date real quick. The 19th. On Sunday the 19th, at 6:30 there was a block party in the area of Muse and McKinney where 4 teenagers were shot. What I have found out that 2 of the 4 are in grave situation right now. 2 are still in critical, but 2 are grave. And so I want to put context to it. But what we do know is the 9th Precinct, in conjunction with the Gang Intelligence Unit, were surveilling the area. We got information on a possible suspect. And as they were doing the surveillance activity, they saw the one suspect that we got information on. That suspect got into a vehicle. Once he got in the vehicle, there were 2 additional suspects inside of that vehicle. There was an effort to initiate a traffic stop so they could continue the investigation, and that's when they tried to evade Detroit police. High-speed pursuit lasted for about 10 minutes, traversed all of the east side, the 5th and the 9th Precinct, and culminated here at McKinney and Whittier. And it stopped here because the suspect in the vehicle crashed into a pole, which you can see behind us. All 3 suspects exited the vehicle very quickly. All started to run. One suspect got out, and as he was being approached, he had a gun in his hand, and the officer, fearing for his safety, fired 1 time, striking the suspect. That suspect was transported to a local hospital where he's been pronounced. He died from his wounds. The 2 additional suspects, one of the 2 was also identified in the shooting incident from Sunday. So what we know now, 2 of the 3 have been identified or connected to the shooting incident. Those 2 suspects were taken into custody without incident.
The gentleman that passed, he also was a suspect in the Sunday shooting?
He was a suspect. He was a suspect, and also one of the suspects that we have in our custody. It was a suspect that we took into custody without incident was the initial target, but we have since learned that the suspect we ended up shooting because he's armed with a handgun. He was also involved in that shooting. And what we know about the initial target had been involved in other shooting incidents. We know for a fact may have been involved in the East Point shooting and maybe one other. And so we're still looking through that. Again, 2 suspects in custody, and we've also recovered 2 additional weapons from the vehicle, and we have the weapon that the suspect is holding at the time of the shooting. So with that, I'll take any questions that you have.
Was there any shots fired at the officers at any point?
No shots were fired, just the fact that the suspect was armed, and the officer, believing that his life was in danger, fired 1 single shot, striking that suspect.
As soon as this gets on Facebook and on our air, there's going to be somewhat of a reaction, as there has been, given the current climate right now.
Well, I would hope that you folks in the media do this for me. It's only been 1 hour since his shooting. I'm giving you information as I know. So if someone chooses to put out inaccurate information like what we saw several weeks ago, I put that burden on you. I'm telling you what took place. I've been here 7 years, and the community expects me to be transparent. So if you want to put out erroneous information and embrace it, I put that on you. I am telling you, these officers were in this area in response to a tragic shooting of teenagers from Sunday. They were doing what we asked them to do. And they were in this area, and they knew that they were dealing with individuals who could have possibly been armed and dangerous. And as it turned out, at least one of the suspects who exited the vehicle armed was. And then there was 2 additional guns inside the vehicle. Now, I recognize that when we have these kind of situations, and I always say it, we continue to learn more about these shooting incidents. There may be additional information that I don't have right now. So our prayers go out to the family. That suspect who is no longer here. But I'm also thankful that none of our officers were injured. They were doing what we asked them to do, is find out who was responsible for those teenagers who were shot. And as I indicated, 2 of the 4 are in grave condition right now. And they may not make it.
Much like you responded a few weeks ago, releasing dash cam, body camera footage, can we expect a similar response in the days to come?
We are in the process of going through in-car video, body-worn camera. That process is going on as we speak. This is the information that I know now within 1 hour of this shooting.
Pretty quick turnaround time tracking down these suspects. You're talking about just Sunday this happened. What do you say to the intelligence that came through that led to all this?
Well, let me just say this. I got to commend our community, but I want to also commend the hard work of the men and women of the 9th Precinct and our gang intelligence unit, because we know, based on where we are in this investigation, this was a gang-related shooting, and this may have been retaliation, and so we did great work, and I'm just happy that no one else got injured. Again, this was a high-speed pursuit.
It's been a busy couple of weekends, lots of shootings, stabbings. Are you seeing more gang activity? Is that what's going on?
We have seen an increase in gang activity. We've seen increased lawlessness. We've seen suspects who are armed and emboldened. This department has done a phenomenal job over the last 4 weeks. As I've reported out, we are averaging anywhere between 80 to 100 illegal gun arrests, CCWs, in a week. I think the total is somewhere like 340 or 380 guns that we've seized in the last month from persons that were illegally carrying guns. We recognize that it's too much violence, and we're doing everything we can to mitigate that. But in doing so, our officers are going in direct harm's way. We're talking about suspects not even days ago shot teenagers at a party not far from this location. So they were doing what we asked them to do, and they did a great job in doing so.
The initial location was off McKinney, you said?
You mean from the Sunday shooting?
Yes, yes.
The Sunday shooting was at Muse in McKinney, not far from the location where this pursuit terminated.
And 2 in critical, and 2 are not looking good.
That's from the Sunday shooting.
Right, correct.
And of course, the single shot fired by our officer on the armed suspect succumbed to his injury and was pronounced at a local hospital.
Is there anything else you want to say, Chief?
Just the violence must stop. It must stop. And we're relentless about going after individuals who create violence in our communities, and we're not backing off. It needs to stop.
Officer involved in this shooting, next steps for him is him or her?
It's we go through the normal investigation. He's on restricted duty, like we do in every shooting. No difference.
You guys got questions?
Chief,
Sir?
in the pursuit, was one of your vehicles hit by the...
Now, I'm glad you asked that question. I did just learn that not one, but several of our vehicles were struck by the suspect's vehicle as they were trying to get away.
You guys got anything?
Chief, have you had a chance to talk on camera about the President's plan to send in supplemental law?
I've been talking about it all day.
Okay.
Do you want to ask the question again?
So
I've talked to all the local stations about it. Right now, I want to focus on this situation and the fact that no officer was hurt. Again, my prayers do go out to the family. You can't win. When you involve yourself in gang activity, one or two things are going to happen. You might lose your life, or you might end up in prison for the rest of your life. And many times when these kind of situations happen, we got 2 teenagers in the hospital right now fighting for their life. These officers were here doing what they were supposed to do, what they were asked to do, and they did a very good job at it.
The importance to be out here, Chief, on this scene and giving us a statement instead of leaving it to one of the commanders.
I have every confidence in the world. The 3 behind me, I have a whole lot of confidence in them. But I also know that our community wants to hear from the Chief of Police, especially when we have to do and take the life of someone who is armed. They want to hear from me, and so that's important. It's not a disrespect for these men and women who are standing here with me, supporting what went on.
Chief, want to talk about the officers rendering aid?
Oh, thank you for reminding me of that. You know, it's one thing that I have always found so unique about this department. Our officers will go in a warrior mode when they're faced with an imminent threat to life. I've seen it more times than I can remember. But the one thing I will certainly tell you is after this shooting incident, this armed...
Chief, give it 1 second. Wait till these guys go by, because all we're going to hear is that. Thank you.
I'll make the adjustment.
I know you.
Okay, great. So I want to start by making a correction. I said there were 2 guns in the car. We recovered 2 guns. One from the suspect we shot, and there's an additional gun inside of the vehicle that we're aware of. Both were pistols, and so we haven't searched the car yet. There may be additional weapons, but so we have 2 weapons that we can account for right now.
And talk about that rendering aid.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about it. I think it's so important, and it really shows the character of a Detroit police officer. Certainly, it's a quickly evolving situation. The officer felt he was faced with an imminent threat to his life. He fired a single shot, striking this suspect. But when the suspect fell, the officers went from what I describe as a warrior mode to survive to one of life-saving. And they began to render aid before he was transported to a local hospital where he's pronounced.
I'm all set if everybody else is good.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you,
I
Chief.
appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you. Good to
thank
see
you.
you.
All right.